The image of the plow and the yoke are used throughout all of our readings today and remind us of the importance of looking forward, that we look beyond just this moment and towards what we're heading to. That's the image that Jesus uses to end this gospel, that if you are plowing, you don't keep looking back to see how your rows are going. You go straight, and you can only do that by looking forward. And so it is a reminder to us of our call as his disciples, not about always looking back, but what do we need to be doing to go forward in this work of faith. We see the image in the first reading where Elisha takes the yoke that he had, the wood yoke that sat on the shoulders of the beasts, and used that to start the fire for the sacrifice of the oxen that had been pulling along, to say he was done with this line of this work. He is now focused on the work of God, completely getting rid of that which was there and moving forward on his call to discipleship. We see in the second reading where St. Paul is writing to the Galatians and says, you have gotten rid of that yoke of sin, of slavery. It is gone now. Jesus has taken it away from you. Now live this life worthy of your calling as members of God's people by caring for one another. That's the ministry into which we are called, less about ourselves and more about how we care for those around us. It is the reminder of our call to discipleship. And this week, above all, is an opportunity for us to be reminded of that call to ministry, that it is not about falling again under that yoke of slavery, that yoke of sin, but rather to be focused on where we need to go. This was a great week for those of us who protected the good of life. It reminds us that we, though, are not done with this work of proclaiming the dignity of every human person. Our work continues to be called forth to care for those, as St. Paul speaks to the Galatians. While the yoke of abortion may have been lifted from the shoulders of our country by this decision, we still have a great deal of care to give. We still have a great deal of work to be about, for it is about caring for those around us. So, if anything, the joy of this decision to us should lead us to greater works of ministry and caring for those in need. To be generous, for example, to the work of the hospital in Nigeria, or for this missionary collection, who cares for the needs of women and their children. If we've never given to an organization that cares for women in crisis pregnancies, now is the time for us to be even more generous in that regard, so that our voice of the protection of human life might be more readily heard and exemplified by the work of our care. Now is our opportunity to further the work of life, of love, to pursue the goodness of all people. This is a moment for us to recognize that while prayers have been answered, our call is to look forward to the next opportunity that each of us, individuals and community, can care for the good of others. As we celebrate this Eucharist, in which Christ shares his life with us, let us look for those opportunities to pursue the good of life, of dignity, of the protection of every human life before God.